It's time for Takes on Takes, and the combine overreactions, potentially, are heating up. We're going to break them down for you today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league. I'm a Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins.
Joseph Marino. Happy last day of February to you.
Thank you. Yes. Only 28 days this year in February.
In the spirit of Takes on Takes, I have a question for you. And it was on my timeline this morning. And I want to know what your answer is. I think there's a very clear and obvious answer here. But I'm curious your opinion. Would you rather be given $1 million?
I like where this is set. Where this is going. Yeah.
Or flip a coin for $1 billion.
Boy. So $1 million bird in hand, or a 50-50 shot at $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. $1 million is a lot of money, right?
People would argue it's not that much these days, and I would strongly disagree with them. $1 million.
$1 million, $1 million. Yeah.
This is non-taxed.
You have a coin? You have a coin? Who has a coin? Whoever has a coin. I think people say, "Hey Siri, flip a coin." I think that's what people do these days.
Right.
I think I'm going for the billion.
You're going big.
I think I'm going for the billion.
I'm taking the bird in hand.
You are?
I know scare money don't make money, but my life would look dramatically different if I had $1 million untaxed.
Your life would look different with $1 million untaxed, but my kids and my children's kids and everybody I know's life would look a lot different with $1 billion.
But I could also put myself on a pathway to create something that would change my kids and my grandkids. It's just not guaranteed, but neither is yours. I'm just saying.
I'm picking heads. Hey, Siri, flip a coin.
You just want $1 billion.
I just want a freaking $1 billion, Kyle Crabbs.
Billionaire Joe Marino joining us here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast for Takes on Takes.
I'm not quitting my job, though. We're doing the show.
Okay.
I'm here. I love it. I got to do something with my time. All right. Anthony says Shemar Stewart, heard of this guy? He's made a little noise last night. Could wind up being Edge 1 after the combine.
No.
Is Abdul Carter?
Yeah. I will say this, though. I had said last night that if you've been mocking Shemar Stewart outside the top 10, like that dream probably ends last night. And I had it like, there's like those snarky subsects of like football fans throughout the draft process. And this one,
I feel like I've almost muted every one of them, but I'm, they're still there. Yeah.
I found we're on to 30 guaranteed top 10 picks.
Oh yeah.
Group found that post.
Yeah.
To which I almost responded, sounds like you're following some of the wrong people because I've been mocking Shamar Stewart in the top 10 since late December, but I didn't. But that made me chuckle that it was like another one of the, oh, there it is. Like we see this every year. It finally came up, and it was at the combine for Shamar Stewart, who was the fastest 10-yard split and one of the 4 highest vertical jumps for a 265-pound plus defensive lineman in the last 20 years.
Going high.
And cut weight off his A&M tape. For just a little bit of perspective, Nick Scorton, who had played at Purdue around 260, came to A&M, played around 280, and said that their defensive scheme was not very conducive to being aggressive because of the coaching points and what they wanted to dictate along the defensive line. So when you see things like Scorton and Shamar Stewart's pass rush totals and pressure rates and pass rush win rate and sack numbers. Just keep that in mind, because I do think it's helpful context. And then to see both of those guys drop down weight is probably indicative of where they're going to play at the next level. And if you're a bet on trades guy, you should like what you saw last night.
Yeah, no doubt about it. August says Jalen Walker, that's the defensive player from Georgia, will be
words, by the way.
What's that?
Good choice of words.
Yeah, I was careful there. Will be drafted no earlier than the second half of round 1. So I guess that would be after pick 16.
Yeah, the weigh-ins didn't help, right?
No.
6'0", 243, 32-inch arms.
Not what we're hoping for.
I don't think he's the name that you can invoke for some source of inspiration for a player of that stature is Hassan Reddick. I don't think he's bendy like Hassan is.
I agree.
Now, he's a powerful player. So I'm inclined to think he with the official measurements, it's going to make him even more situation specific, and that can, in the wrong set of circumstances, lead to you sliding down the board.
Yeah, pretty common name to see in the top 10, right? In these mock drafts. I think that'll change, and it should. Von Tell. Not only will Jihad Campbell get drafted in the first round, but Carson Schlesinger will as well. That's right, 2 inside linebackers drafted in the first round.
Is he alluding to the heaviest off-ball linebacker at the combine, Carson Schlesinger? That Carson Schlesinger? What if I told you before the combine that Carson Schlesinger was going to be the heaviest off-ball linebacker at the event? Your reaction would have been what?
I wouldn't have expected that, right?
242.
Yep. And he has the bunnies, right?
Jumped 39.5 in the vert at 232. Now, he probably chugged a gallon of water.
Those are pretty heavy, man. Sometimes they break the plastic bags, when I carry them inside.
I Googled it yesterday, because between Shamar Stewart being at 281 at the Senior Bowl and then being down at 267 and Carson Schlesinger being up almost 20 pounds over what I expected. Gallon of water, do you know how much it weighs?
I guess maybe 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds. Higher, 4 pounds.
Keep going.
5 pounds.
Keep going.
6 pounds.
According to Google, a gallon of water weighs about 8.34 pounds.
Wow, boy, I was way off.
Room temperature.
Well, the temperature of the water affects how much it weighs.
Well, I guess it if you put like the bottles of water outside and it gets cold out, like you get a little extra room at the top.
You know what's going to happen, because I said that on Sunday afternoon, I'm going to have dinner with my family, and my brother Frank's going to be like, yeah, so the thing about the water and the temperature, he's going to give me this big science lesson about this.
Good. And you can fill us in on Monday and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I will. I guarantee it'll happen.
But so if you ever need to ace a weigh-in, just chug a gallon of water beforehand.
Yeah.
And you can add yourself 8.34 pounds like that, drinking a gallon of water.
All right. There it is. Big advice there. Did you learn that at Penn State? Was that part of the curriculum?
No, that's my how does a guy drop 14 pounds in 2 weeks type.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Trevor says, well, the Patriots understand the need to build up the offensive line. They also understand the paramountcy of finding a number 1 target for Drake May, which is why they'll draft Tet McMillan, a.k.a. Hawaiian Mike Evans, at number 4 overall. # new vocabulary for Joe. It's been a while since we've had a new vocabulary for Joe, and maybe it's back. I hope it is. I've always enjoyed this.
You hit me with a vocabulary word yesterday. I had to Google it.
Oh, you're kidding. What was it?
Do you remember which one it was? I Googled it in real time. I'm like,
serious?
Is that a real? And
I dropped the time, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I need to know what word it was that you didn't know.
I feel bad I didn't give you credit in real time, but I was like, I've jumped in over him a couple times already in the show. I have a bad habit of doing that. I just want to let him finish his thought here.
Well, please spend the rest of your day trying to figure out this word. I know what paramountcy is. I've never used it, but I know what paramount means, right? Importance, right? Significance.
What's your thought on this?
No, the answer to this is no. Yeah, I'd be very surprised. First of all, I think that Will Campbell's a lot better prospect, or even Armand Membo. I think these are better prospects than Tet McMillan. And I just don't see Vrabel agreeing with this. And better prospects, bigger need. A team that I think will value the trenches. I'm out. I'm out on this.
I think the league, it's abounding, by the way.
Abounding.
I
said that. Yeah, I did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the rumors are abounding or something. You didn't know abounding? Wow.
Okay. I was not familiar with the word. I had to look it up. Right. So here's your flowers.
Thank you. I'm taking them.
I think the league's, I don't say way lower, but the league is lower on Tet McMillan than the outside world is. And I would not be surprised if you looked at the folks from all the major networks and the big time insiders that do mock drafts. I'd be surprised if you saw Tet McMillan going in the top 10 of any of them moving forward. I don't think that's the ballpark we're playing in here.
It leveled off, Kyle Crabbs. Leveled off. All right, we got a bunch to get into on the other side of it, including a really fun question about the running back GOAT. Stick with us, folks. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I miss my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
The takes are abounding here on the show.
They are.
So let's do some more.
Would you like? Nah, I'm not doing this. Okay, Chris. I was going to tell you how I learned the word abounding, but I'm just not. Chris says, and he's got a two-parter. One is a food take, so we'll definitely get to that.
Mid-major Chris?
It's not mid-major Chris. No, not mid-major Chris would definitely not send this in, especially the food take. Defensive tackle Alfred Collins will be drafted higher than Tyleik Williams, he's Ohio State, and Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Half of this is a layup.
Right, because Walker's not going that high.
Walker didn't run for a reason yesterday. For all of the alleged startling athleticism that he allegedly has at his disposal, the choice to run at 335, which is probably the lowest he's been in quite some time. I think that whole prospect profile in the summertime jumped the shark in a big way.
PFF pressure stats, man. We saw that. Who was that Army edge rusher?
Yeah, Andre. I was just getting ready to say Andre Carter was tied with Aiden Hutchinson for best pass rush win rate for in that measure and metric as well. And then went in the 7th round. I think it's on his 3rd team already. So Alfred Collins versus Tyleik Williams is really interesting, though, because I think Tyleik Williams weighed in heavier than Alfred Collins, which I would not have expected. Both of those guys in the 330s. Joe, there are a lot of heavy-duty defensive tackles that were at the Combine this year. I can't remember the last time we had this many 330-plus defensive tackles. To keep it between Alfred Collins and Tyleik Williams, I like Alfred Collins' tape more than Tyleik Williams, but I think predictively the league will probably see and buy a little bit more 3-down upside with Tyleik Williams than they will with Alfred Collins. I think Alfred Collins is better at what he does, but I think Williams has a little bit more upsell that teams will lean into when you're trying to determine how to value those two players individually.
Be close between those two for sure. The food take here is a restaurant can be judged solely on their ability to produce a delicious and high quality salad. If a restaurant can't get salads right, then it can't get anything right. I I don't agree with this at all. And the reason I don't agree is I thought about when my wife and I go out to eat, and we go we really go out to eat, right? Big time restaurant. We never get a salad. We're not wasting space here on salads. We'll get an appetizer, we'll get, extra sides. No chance we're getting a salad when we're going somewhere big time.
You know where I went with a couple of our old friends and colleagues last night?
I do. I guarantee there wasn't an ounce of salad eaten at that table.
Well, there was. Some people went. But the mistake we went to Fogo de Chao, which I didn't realize how close it was, or else I'd have gone every night. It's a half a block that way. That's how close it is to where I'm staying. But we went last year as well. And the first thing I did is I did the salad bar.
They'd like you to get the salad
Correct,
bar
because they want to save the money versus the pristine meats.
Yeah.
So I had like a full plate of salad bar, and then I had to tap early on the meat. So what I did this year is I didn't eat breakfast. I barely ate lunch. I ate just enough to keep me going. They sat me down, and I asked the girl that brought the waters by if she would mind bringing me a plate, because I wasn't going to go to the salad bar, and it was right behind us, and I didn't want to just reach up and grab one myself. And she's like, sure. So she turned around and grabbed me a plate right there and turned back around and gave one to me and gave one to Trevor Sycamore, and she gave one to who was the third one sitting at the table? I think it was Owen Reese, who works with the Shrine Bowl. And my butt did not leave the chair until it was time to leave the restaurant. And all I ate was meat.
Yeah, that's well done.
I put them through the cleaner, and I said, you're going to earn my flat rate today, and it's not going to be for me getting salad and cottage cheese and olives and mushrooms and beets. No thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad we saw this one the same. Tell has a heavy hitter. Tell says the argument over the running back GOAT is generally pointless. I agree with that. But if the question is what RB from history would you choose to put on your current team, then the only answer is Marshall Faulk. He's the greatest receiving back of all time, while also giving you 1,300 rushing yards.
I don't know. It's a great answer. I could think of a few other great answers too, though.
I think that's where I'm at. I don't want to poo-poo on Marshall Faulk, because I do think he's a phenomenal answer. But you're telling me like Adrian Peterson's not someone to think about in this conversation.
Barry
Sanders, right? It's like
the first name I thought of was Barry in this space version of the game would be nuts.
Good night. Yeah. And it's interesting that Tell's big argument is receiving production. I hear you on that. Marshall Faulk is definitively the best receiving back of all time. But have you seen any of the research on running back targets and EPA? I think you're probably a big EPA guy. You're smart. You should be a big EPA guy.
Yeah.
But like generally speaking, running back targets in the passing game don't produce positive EPA.
It's low yield.
Yeah.
High efficiency.
And maybe that boosts up a Marshall Faulk because it's going to be good, right? So like maybe that furthers or strengthens the argument. But I think with Marshall Faulk, a great player. But if you want like a legit physical presence from your backfield, I just feel like you probably would pick somebody else. So I don't think it's that cut and dry, although I think Marshall Faulk is certainly a top 5 answer.
Yeah.
Weekly Huddle says playing both ways hurt Travis Hunter more as a cornerback prospect than wide receiver. Is more of a natural wide receiver, but shows flashes at cornerback that makes you believe he can be better there in the pros once he gets better technically.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt his ability to do anything, but when you have as much time invested on both sides of the ball, that is undoubtedly 50% of the time you have less invested in one of the other spots.
And right, the corner's the more reactionary position too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think any time spent away from playing corner wasn't helpful to becoming a corner. And then you romanticize over the ball skills and you're like, geez, this athletic profile, these ball skills. Okay. I get it. So I think it's a good take. Tate coming through with a question here. And I don't wonder, I'm pretty sure he knows exactly who he's asking this question to. So here it is. The Jets will make a Texans-Stroud level jump if they draft a top defensive lineman at 7 and take Jackson Dart with their second pick. Dart is a downfield aggressive thrower while still protecting the football, plus his speed is legit. That defense can do most of the work with Dart making a couple of big plays.
So I hear the Jets do like Dart. I've heard that. Likely to take him at 7? Probably not. Probably shouldn't. Here's the script. I have the script for the Jets in this pick. Okay.
Yep.
So they're going to pick whatever defensive player at number 7 that they have. Then Matt Stafford is going to get traded to the Raiders, and the Rams are going to do the Jimmy G / Aaron Rodgers thing. And then the Rams are going to trade out at 26, and the Jets are going to come up to 26. And that's where they're going to draft Jackson Dart so that the Rams have a future 1 so that next year's class, they're well positioned to draft the quarterback.
Boy, the Rams will be sitting there with the Jets' first-round pick in 2026. Boy, that'd be – come on, dude.
Just file it away. It's February 28th. Just file it away.
That's how this stuff happens, where teams that aren't supposed to be picking high pick high.
Just file it away.
If you're the Jets and you give up your first-round pick next year, you have lost your mind. You have lost your mind.
Gotta go get your quarterback, right?
You have lost your mind. Yeah. All right. On the other side of it, more to get to. Michigan defensive tackles. Who's trading for Jair Alexander? Combine participation. Folks, be sure to stick with us.
Let's get the Jair Alexander one. Let's do that one. I know you like having an order. You probably have an order, but this one I want to bump on this one here out of the break.
Joe at work. One of these 3 teams, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, or Pittsburgh Steelers, will trade a 6th-round pick for cornerback Jair Alexander.
You know who I heard is trading for Jair Alexander?
Nobody.
Nobody is trading for that contract with more than half the season missed at 3 of the 4 last seasons, with some of the goofy stuff he's done over the last 2 years.
Baltimore feels like a team. Like if it was going to happen, it'd be Baltimore, but
like the money's big too.
Yeah,
it's like, no, we'll cut you in. We'll bring you in on a 1-year deal at like half the rate of what you're scheduled to get and protect ourselves here.
I feel the same way about John Allen to an extent.
I feel like most of these permission to trade players are just going to end up getting cut.
100%. It's like, well, we're cutting them next week. We might as well dangle them out there.
Right.
Kyle, I got to be honest with you. I think there's a do right by the player, especially with John Allen. Dude, that guy was in Washington through the dumpster fire of dumpster fires. Let him go pick his team. Let him go pick his team. Don't worry about that 5th-round pick. Do right by the guy. Let's get this one in, and then we'll do the combine participation stuff. Jim says Kenneth Grant gets drafted before Mason Graham.
I've heard this a little bit this week. Heard some buzz this might. Kenneth Grant was supposed to run, and he was going to run in probably the low 4.8s in the 3.30s. And then we were going to do the Jordan Davis thing, and the takes would have been talking about diminishing returns with speed after a certain size at a player at a certain weight, and we'd have had that angle to hit.
I like Kenneth Grant a lot more than Jordan Davis. I think there's a makeup.
Me too.
It's not just big and athletic. It's okay. There's more to the conversation.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more technical and wasn't just so reliant on being a mountain than what Jordan Davis had. But to that point, I think Kenneth Grant's going to go in the top 10. So it's a matter of, is it? You could tell me it's depending on what the Raiders do at quarterback, you could tell me it's the Raiders at 6. I'd believe it. You could tell me it's the Jets at 7. I'd believe it. You could tell me it's the Panthers at 8. I'd believe it. You could tell me it was the Saints at 9, and I believe it. And I certainly don't think he gets past 11 at San Francisco.
No chance. Yeah, San Francisco is the catch there, right?
Right. It feels like the floor for Kenneth Grant.
They don't have. Hargrave hadn't stopped the run in 2 years. Who else?
They don't have anybody else. The depth of that group got totally tapped out.
49ers should be hoping and praying they get Kenneth Grant. All right, let's get to some combine participation stuff. Football with Oz says players should be more than willing to work out at different positions at the combine if asked by teams. It shows a drive to see the field, and it shows you're coachable. It's not always the insult that players seem to think it is.
Well, I think the concern is, are you prepped to do it, right? Because you got some of that this year with there's a list of, I think it was 4 or 5 guys that were requested to do other spots. And like JJ Peg was from Ole Miss, the defensive tackle. He's out there catching fullback targets yesterday. They had some quarter out there throwing.
Yeah.
So, but he played that. So he was used to that. He was exposed to that. I think the thing that players get real apprehensive about is, if I didn't train to do this in a job interview environment, do I accept it and go do drills I've never done before and risk not understanding the drill and then it coming across the wrong way to the people at the stadium? So I understand some of the apprehension for the players to do it in that setting.
But at the same time, I feel like that's understandable from the people that would be making the requests. I think the willingness to, yeah, sure, I've never done this, but I'd be happy to go out there and do my best and show that I'm willing to do whatever I can to.
Yeah. But then if it doesn't go well, then every interview you have to clarify with the team, hey, I was asked to do this. I've never done that drill before. And I didn't really know. I feel like it could create more questions.
Could, but I always feel like for like the workout piece of it, not necessarily the athletic testing, it's like going out there and being competitive is usually a good thing. All right, Vince, this is the last one. And Vince is a first-time, long-time.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. With NIL leveling the financial playing field for players seeking the league should evolve and align incentives, pay players to participate in the pre-draft process. You can pay athletes per drill completed, a lump sum bonus for full participation, or even both. This rewards everyone and helps offset injury risk while maximizing data available for the league and industry. Seems that fewer and fewer players test outside of strictly controlled environments these days.
Here's the problem. I think this is a really interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
The Players Association is going to say, we're going to surrender our share of the revenue to have it paid to players that might not have even signed their Players Association contracts.
They haven't. None of them are in the NFLPA.
So how are you gonna surrender finances, regardless of how small of a slice of the pie that it is, to be paid out to people who haven't even signed the paperwork to join the PA? I don't think that's a major hurdle for me. That I think the league would have to find the funds to do that elsewhere.
Well, and so the combine, the money made off of the combine, there's money made off the combine. It does go back into the salary cap pool, right? Like it's part of that conversation. So in a roundabout way, it does get to the players. Is there a conversation to be had about if you were going to get Travis Hunter and Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and Mike Green and all these guys that didn't participate? Is there more money that it's going to draw? And does their participation obviously impact that? Interesting, right? But is there a process where these guys could, as part of participating in the combine, would then whatever it takes to become part of the NFLPA? But can you actually become part of the NFLPA if you're not an NFL player, right? Because you don't have a contract, you haven't been drafted. There's a lot of complicating layers, and I'm sure any of this can be figured out. What's the motivation here? Is the motivation because we want the information, or is the motivation here because we want the players to get this money?
For me, it's because I want the information.
I want the information too. I want the information too. And is that going to change? Like if there was money on the table, like how much participation how much different would it be?
Right.
Is it needle moving? It's interesting. It's a conversation worth having, but obviously layers that need to be sorted out.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So that's it. That's it for takes.
Yeah.
That's it for takes. Well, the NFL Combine is underway. Testing last night. We got DBs tonight?
Yeah, DBs. Many of them.
So the defensive side of the ball will be done as of tonight. We'll see who's on my flight home tomorrow. I'll be at the airport tomorrow morning, flying home. And then we will be back again on Monday for reacting to the rest of the NFL Combine. Probably safe to say, Joe, we're going to do Combine stuff and news from over the weekend on Monday.
I think that's plenty of that to get to.
So plan accordingly. We hope to see you there. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He is Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Combine. Enjoy the news as it rolls in over the next couple of days. And we'll see you all again at the start of next week.